We're certainly not going to be able to take an offensive battle. If we can't win the opening battle, we're not going to win this battle. So I'm recruiting a lot of additional mercenaries, trying to bring my forces up to overwhelming numbers and see what we can do. Unfortunately, Castile got the breach in the fortifications very early on, which is what mostly happens when I'm playing EU4. The enemy army gets those fortification breaches and sieges down my fortifications in about 70 days, and it usually takes me about 500 days. With that said, I know that locking nations does improve siege ability and local defensiveness, so it's not actually about luck, it's more about how the algorithms work. So I'm going to continue marshalling up as many forces as I can, occupy as many provinces as I can. We can call in allies. Tunis, join the fray, why not? That's going to help us narrow the odds a little bit. And considering Portugal's got a 15,000 man army in Valencia, probably not a too bad idea. Okay, so goes the siege of Granada. Now, Corrupta has poor defensible terrain, so we can take a battle here. Now, if we lose this battle, we're not going to have anywhere to retreat to because Granada has a fortification now. But, I mean, we outnumber them 2-1, literally, so let's go ahead and take this battle. We'll suffer no penalty to an attacking force. Get a good shock roll. 2 bad fire rolls, a bad shock roll. Even fire, bad shock roll. Bad fire roll. Okay, so we lose the majority of our rolls, but we win regardless. We couldn't have lost that. Suffer but even casualties. And we'll go about and see if we can re-occupy Granada. And so basically our strategy's been reset. We're going to have to do this all over again. Siege down Granada. And hopefully siege down Jean or Jean. Don't really know which way that pronunciation goes. Yeah, it's a Portuguese army, 15,000 troops parked in Valencia. We'll raise war taxes since our economy, which we had successfully cast off our loans, but the war took a turn for the worse, and we've had to take out a bunch more loans. As is consistent with my overall strategies here. Napoleon said, an army marches on its stomach. In my case, an army marches on its loans. So that's my saying. An army marches on its loans. It sure does. Now, we have been joined by our Tunisian allies, which is great. That is actually going to tip the balance strongly in our favour. They're not doing great. They've decided to send a bunch of troops into Alicante, and they're going to lose that battle. But with their help, we complete a hasty siege of fortifications in Jean or Jane. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can take down this Castilian army in Alicante, since it's going to be very low morale. Yeah, Tunis loses the battle predictably. Castile's going to get a month of army morale recovery, but if they become movement locked, no, they do cancel their movement orders. Question is, do I pursue that army, considering that Valencia may assist? Sorry, Portugal may assist. They don't. So, and we're taking advantage of Tunis's better general. Won't get the stack right though. They have 2 good troops. Yeah, suffer only a few casualties. No stack ripes, always unfortunate, but can't win them all. So we'll move into that province. Not going to attempt pronouncing that. And catch a understaffed 3,000 man Castilian army. See, we should be able to get the stack ripe here. That would be great news. Yeah, okay, so 400 casualties, 3,000 troops eliminated. So the war has decisively swung in our favour. And we can probably attempt to attack that Portuguese army in Valencia. I'm debating whether or not I should do that. Regional nobles challenge Granada. Well, I sure as heck don't want to be dealing with any rebels now because my force is already stretched to the breaking point, so we'll have to take the reduced tax modifier. Alright, Tunis is joining us, so let's attack into Valencia, see if we can isolate and destroy this Portuguese army. No modifier to attacking force. Good shock roll. Good fire roll. Wow, okay. That is interesting. We're actually able to stack wipe 15,000 Portuguese troops, barely suffering any casualties. So, I wonder why that happened. Their morale was probably at the breaking point because they'd already lost the war with Tunis, so... Hey, I'll take it. More than makes up for those 2 early defeats we suffered. Win a small naval battle in the Gulf of Almeria. Or Almeria. It's Almeria, I believe. Yeah, it's Almeria. Alright, get this siege of Valencia complete. And once we have, we're more or less going to have free reign over the entire south of Spain. So we will complete this as fast as possible. See where Castille's going. Looks like they're going to try and reoccupy Jean or Jane. Now, hopefully we'll get this fortification siege down before they're able to threaten that siege. Alternatively, actually, let's just march our troops across. We'll split our army up. Wouldn't do this if it wasn't for having just recently defeated Portugal's army, but we now have such overwhelming numbers. We'll move in and try and attack this small force. We have the potential for a stack wipe here since we have 4-1 numerical superiority. But our rolls are atrocious. So, we take another victory, but no stack wipe. Still, we've successfully raised siege of Jane. Is Gibraltar occupied once more? Yes, so there's there's 2 more fortifications protecting the south of Spain, Toledo and Valencia. Once they're successfully occupied, we got a bunch of fortifications in the north to deal with. 5 in total, so that's going to be time consuming. Also, it's going to give Castile a area from which to retreat. So this war's not going to be over quickly, is what I'm saying. It is probably worthwhile prosecuting the war until we have 100 war score. That's going to allow us to get all the stuff we need, like, war reparations. And Tunis has caught a under strength Castilian army. And they've actually been able to stack wipe it, 3,000 Spanish troops. So for some reason, aside from the very outset of this war, Castile is doing a really poor job defending its country. I'm used to them being a lot smarter than this, but I mean, especially with Portugal parking their army in Valencia, not even assisting Castile in Alicante. It's really sort of poor performance from Castile here. So this has been a much easier war than it should have been, especially off the back of losing those early 2 battles, but we'll take it. Siege of Valencia complete, and Tunis is successfully sieged down Toledo, so that's basically the south of Spain conquered. We also eject some Spanish ships into the Gulf of Valencia. They should be quite easily defeated. We'll move our forces into Aragon and see if we can complete a piecemeal siege of each Spanish fortification. Then it's probably advisable to fully occupy Portugal as well to get additional war reparations from them, and any territory we can. We'll move into Navarra while we're at it, since we can, and simultaneously complete down both sieges. Austria has declared war on Ulm. That's a clash of titans if I've seen one. Ulm, for those of you who don't know, have a sort of well-earned reputation of exceeding any logical expectations in terms of how they perform. I've seen some mighty Armenian empires. For the time being, though, we've got enough on our hands. We are losing 17 ducats per month. That is going to require many loans. But as my saying goes, an army marches on its loans. Alright. I've learnt my lesson from many failures. Never ever be tempted to invest. Never, always conserve your... See if I can get this a fourth time around. Always conserve your administrative monarch power whilst at war. Do not be tempted to invest it in technology or idea groups. The Weeping Song. Don't care about that. Because remember, you need administrative monarch power to core your conquered provinces. There have been many occasions where I've mistakenly invested all my administrative monarch power during a war, conquered a bunch of territory, and have had no monarch power to get those cores constructed, which is a rookie mistake, one that I often repeat. We're not going to do it this time. The stakes are too high. Alright, we're working on these fortifications. Castile seems to be offering up no more resistance. Bit of a disappointment. There's so many things they could have done to really do a better job of repelling our invasion. I was expecting this to be a lot closer, especially without the Ottomans, but then again, we probably didn't need Tunis as allies, although they certainly helped. So I'm pretty much overall happy with the strategy, and I believe that it was reasonably well executed. In hindsight, we really needed more troops in the early stages of the invasion, even though we had a heck of a lot. Cottage industry, this is a great little event. Gain a bunch of base production. 4 in total, that's worth probably at least 200 diplomatic monarch power. So I'll go ahead and take it. It's a good provinces too. Tangiers, Tlemcen, Tafilialt. That's great. That's our gold producing province. Great little decision in the best possible provinces. Renew war taxes. Well, we're losing a lot of money here, so we don't really have much choice. Defeat another Castilian navy in the Côte d'Argent. Tunis is defeating the Portuguese army. Yeah, on reflection, I probably should have focused on sieging down the Portugal first, because once we completed the occupation of Castile, we're going to have to take down Portugal and ensure that we get some good reparations from them also. But looks like Tunis is going to do the job for us. They stack wipe that 7,000 Portuguese troops. Alright, good stuff. So I'm going to move my troops over to Portugal and start sieging down their fortifications. We can complete the occupation of Portugal and Castile simultaneously. That's going to be great. And effectively, once we win this war, since it's pretty much inevitable, we're going to be at the stage where we're more or less on a cruise to victory. Because once we have the bridgehead, we're only going to grow in strength, especially if we conquer Sevilla, which is my #1 priority, the conquest of Sevilla. That province is worth a ton of trade power. And if we take that and retake our core in Granada, we are going to be on the path to victory. And there's not a lot that's going to be able to stop us. Now, there are a few things that can stop us. France and the Ottomans. I think we can subdue Ottomans by keeping them happy. But France is going to be a problem, a thorn in our side. Must not underestimate the big blue blob, but that's for another time. For now, we're focusing on occupying down the remainder of Portugal and Castile's fortifications. Siege of Aragon complete. I'm shuttling all my troops over to Portugal now because, again, we want to sue for peace with Portugal first because they are a co-belligerent but a junior partner, which means we can separate peace them. So that's what we're focusing on doing. Now, the Ottomans are sort of doing their thing that they tend to do in the mid-16th century, which is just go on a rampage in Europe with Hungary on their sides. So that's going to be interesting to watch. This is the last Portuguese army. You can see the disparity in army morale. This is going to be a stack wipe if ever I've seen one. No, actually, they... but because Tunis just completed that siege of Porto, they're not actually able to retreat. That's pretty interesting there. If they'd held on a few more days, they would have been able to, but in this case, luck was not on their side. I've never seen a more competent Tunis. Weeping Song, I've seen this already. I don't care for your tribulations, plebs. They'll do what they're told. Not having any rebels spoil my glorious war here. Bartering increases. Yeah, well, okay. We're suffering from catastrophically high inflation, so gonna have to take the 100 administrative power hit. Get a breach in the fortifications in Lisboa. Yep, we pretty much occupied all of Portugal. One more province to occupy, one more to siege down, and that's their capital. We'll sue for separate peace with them immediately. I don't think I'm going to take any territory from them because, you know, there's a lot of penalties to... I mean, you get a bucket load of aggressive expansion for taking territory against a junior partner. So we'll probably avoid taking territory from them, but who knows? Yeah, completes the siege and one more province to occupy. In addition, Tunis is very generously helping us siege down the fortifications in northern Spain. Yeah, let's see what we can take. Now we've got 540 administrative monarch power to work with. Just take a look here. To take territory or not. Don't want them to release any nations. Do you want them to null treaties with Castile? We could take Algarve. Now, the Gold Coast... Problem is we don't have any fortifications occupied near the Gold Coast, so they're not going to have any of it. We would have to take down a fortification somewhere in the African coast, and we are getting to a stage where we're getting calls for peace, so that's going to contribute to our monthly war exhaustion. Yeah, demanding Grain Coast. It is a province with high trade power, but I think we can probably pass on it. Transfer trade power, now that's an interesting idea. That would be pretty huge. We are going to have a lot of loans, so it makes sense strengthening our position economically. I would like the Gold Coast, but it's not necessary and it's going to take too long, so we'll do that. Trade power, war reparations, some money, and annul treaties. That's pretty good. Ideally, I would have taken the Grain Coast, but I wasn't really willing to ferry all my troops over to Africa and start completing more sieges, so We have 96% war score. That's probably going to be more than enough to get what we want. And what we want is as much territory as possible. Now, here's the question. La Mancha is a gold-producing province, which is huge. It's really... well, it's worth its weight in gold, forgive the pun here. But that looks pretty good to me. Transfer trade power, we could get more money. Now that's going to give us Sevilla, which is a bunch of trade power. It's going to give us a gold-producing province. Cost of 80 diplomatic power. Yeah, let's take it. Excellent. There we go. It's taken us almost exactly 100 years, but we are firmly afoot once more in the Iberian Peninsula. Looking good. Looking very good. Excellent. So, lost Casabella and Castile. So let's ferry our troops into Granada. And let's disband all the mercenaries. And we will focus on getting those cores constructed, of course. We've taken over 2 new fortifications. That's nice. That's going to help protect our little bridgehead here in Castile. Little, I shouldn't say little. We've dramatically expanded overall territory here, so we are looking in really, really good shape. I was a little worried about this war, not inordinately concerned, but I had concerns, especially when those first 2 battles didn't go our way, but we are doing extremely well now. We got all the provinces we want. Demand diplomatic support. Think I will. Now. Coalitions. Now, I wasn't actually expecting France to join a coalition. I'm a bit surprised there, because we shouldn't have taken that much aggressive expansion. We were only taking territory from the war leader, so 70 aggressive expansion. Good lord. So remember what I was saying about 10 minutes ago, how France could be a threat? Well, they sure are, and they can now declare war on us at any time because of our aggressive expansion, and that would be hard to stop. We do have Ottomans to protect us, which should deter France from launching any declaration of war against us, but that's something to be mindful of. I'm definitely going to keep my fortifications in my 2 new occupied provinces. So we'll set about repaying our loans. Making a ton of money now. Interest 5 ducats per month. I dread to think what my inflation is now, but it's probably pretty high. Knowing me, it's in the 20s or low 30s or something like that. Anyway, our position is incredibly strong now. The last real risk, well, there's a bunch of risks, but the last 2 risks, I should say, the penultimate risk, I should say, is getting a bridgehead on Iberian Peninsula. Once you've done that, things become significantly easier from here on out. The last major risk is the threat of a coalition, which is an understandable one because we just triggered it from France. And France has the power to do a lot of damage to us. I'm just waiting for my war exhaustion to lower to 0 before I go ahead and construct these cores. Because we have the humanist idea groups, I expect we will start getting accepted cultures in our newly conquered provinces, which is going to lower revolt risk, increase tax, all that stuff. I'm going to start investing in diplomatic technology since we completed our idea group, and the modifiers are pretty incredible. We spent about 500 diplomatic monarch power there to get 2 tech levels. Pretty efficient. That's going to allow us to make good the big disparity we've been fielding since more or less the start of this playthrough. Tunis is at war with someone. Wow, look at that. Okay, so Great Britain, Meath, you don't see that every day. Wales and Northumberland. What in the heck happened to them? Pretty interesting. 3 out of the... I haven't seen Meath in ages. Wales you see from time to time, but Meath, that is an interesting one. Northumberland's pretty cool too. I've checked their national ideas suck, though. You'd never want to try play as them. They're terrible idea groups. Think Irish idea groups. I mean, Ireland has terrible idea groups. People complain about Naples, but have you seen Ireland's idea groups? Pretty bad. Rebel factions. That's not too concerning. Desperately looking for a theologian here to see if we could get that revolt risk down a little bit, but we have a sufficiently large army, so rebels aren't going to... Look at the amount of trade income we've got from taking Sevilla. It's absolutely incredible. It's jumped up leagues. That's why we're really... I mean, we took out a lot of loans, but we've expanded our economy so much as a result of that war, and it's only set to increase that we're really doing quite well now. Wait one more month for our war exhaustion to deplete, to pay off another loan. Looking good. And let's go about and get these courses constructed. We do have enough. That'll take a couple of years, but we save a bit of administrative monarch power by waiting for our war exhaustion to deplete 0. And we got bucket loads of power projection. So much so that I've actually been able to send my trade ships to start collecting trade as opposed to privateering. It's going to boost our income even more. So things are looking up. You can see now a very clear path to total victory. Will still take some time, and we've got France to worry about. Recruit some additional medieval infantry units, since these rebels are getting to the concerning rate, which is around 80%. Infantry, of course, because as with any war, you tend to find yourself running out of infantry at the end of it. After all, they are the troops that take the brunt of combat damage. So we'll move our troops into provinces where rebels are likely to spawn, and provinces that have good defensive terrain. Get those new infantry across. We'll start fabricating claims. We do already have a lot of aggressive expansion, but if France decides to attack us, we're going to have Tunis and Ottomans join our side. Now, I'm not sure I can hold them in Iberia. It depends on how competent the Ottomans' AI is. Probably not very. So that would be a worst case scenario. We're not really in a position... Well, actually, you know, once we pay off these loans and get those cores constructed, we probably could be able to repel France. Provided it's just France and we fight a purely defensive war. Something to look out for in the future. Yeah, just speeding up time. Treasury's doing well for once. There's those pesky rebels. We got enough troops now, though. Oh, okay, interesting, I forgot. So Andalusian is already an accepted culture group. Forgot about that, actually. That's interesting. So humanist idea groups aren't going to be nearly as important now, but when we start really chiseling into Portugal and northern Spain, that's when it's going to come into its own. So we complete our humanist idea groups. All subsequent ideas are now going to save us 10% in their total cost. That's going to save a bunch of monarch power going forward. Still rival with the Mamluks. Not going to change that for now. We're about to get a course constructed. Add policy, naval attrition minus 50%. I don't think so. I don't think that's worth 1 monarch power per month. Probably one of the worst policies in the frickin' game. Yeah, we'll start sending out our missionaries. There we go. Course constructed, looking good. Revolt, rebel faction at 90%. Nobles demand privileges. Lose a bit of prestige, that's fine. Yep, let's see. Administrative support we can demand in 4 years. Keep a note of that. Want to use it every time it's off cooldown. Repay yet another loan. Ottomans still haven't finished that war against Hungary. Interesting that. Normally they would roll over them, but I guess they are fighting Muscovy, which is grown pretty large. Eastern Europe has remained remarkably stable, except Genoa, that is more or less annexed the whole of Crimea. Convert our heir into general. We will assign our heir to our army. Now, why am I going to do that? Well, it's pretty simple. Our heir is pretty bad and I want him dead. And if you have an heir leading a army, or any general for that matter, it doubles the risk of that heir or general dying. That's why you never want to have generals commanding your armies when you're at peace, just sitting about, because it actually increases the chance that they die. And if it's a good general, you want to avoid that. Same goes with admirals. Also one of the reasons why... Oh, France... Okay, there's some good news. Almost missed that. France has exited the coalition against us. That was the shortest lived coalition ever. Interesting that. Now, I don't think we've seen the last of France.